Rich people, as much money as you think is owed to you, God ensures that you owe him a lot more. What is valuable to man is detestable to God. Alright, God don't need things. You need things, but he don't need things. He needs you. You are all God needs. God loves you, Mr. Rich Man. God loves you. Mr. Rich Man, we want to be very clear. God loves you. But if you insist on collecting debts, God will insist on collecting debts. And you will pay God with your very ass. You will pay the Most High God with your very ass. The Bible talks about the wicked servant. God forgave that servant his debts, and then he went out of God's presence and then demanded that the other servant, his servant, repay him his debts. And then that servant reported back to God, and God said, "Get away from me, you wicked servant. You will repay God in full. He will be imprisoned until he repays God in full." Now yet again, that is on purpose. He will be imprisoned until he repays God in full. That means, you don't pay with your very ass. He don't put you in a position where you can't make no goddamn money and then demand that you repay him. What he's saying is he don't want your money. You will repay him with your very ass. You will repay him with your very ass. Police officers, due to the fact that you refuse to enforce the law on the rich and powerful, God himself will be enforcing the law on the rich and powerful. And just know, rich and powerful, NASA has been doing their very best to put a hole in that firmament, and you cannot put a hole in that firmament. Mr. Rich Man Doctor flood this goddamn earth. He's did it before. Mr. Rich Man, if you insist on collecting your debts, God will insist on collecting his debts. And if God insists on collecting his debts, you will pay him with your very ass. Because that's fair. That is fair. If you insist, you is already rich. You is already rich, and you are oppressing the poor because they are poor. Forgive others their debts, and your Father in heaven will forgive you your debts. But if you do not forgive others their debts, God will not forgive you your debts. So forgive, so that God will forgive you your debts. But if you insist on collecting your debts, God will insist on collecting his debts, and you will pay God with your very ass. We're trying to make ourselves very clear, Mr. Rich Man. We're trying to make ourselves very clear. We talking to you too, cartel. We talking to you too, niggas. You will forgive the others their debts, and God will forgive you your debts. But if you do not forgive others their debts, you will pay God with your very ass. With your very ass.